Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. The NCAA witch hunt with this Michigan Wolverines program continues as a report emerges this afternoon that the NCAA is looking into the Michigan Wolverines program illegally in-person scouting opposing teams on their schedule. A direct quote from the Yahoo report was, quote, "Two opponents this year became aware that Michigan knew their signs." For a couple of things we want to get into. One, not sure how long this NCAA investigation is going to take. At the rate the NCAA operates, we might not hear a ruling till 2030 at this point. And then two, the first thing that came to my mind is if Michigan were to push the envelope in terms of prepping for a team, what team on the first half of Michigan's schedule would they felt the inclination to push the envelope in terms of scouting against? Nebraska? Minnesota? That's no disrespect to those teams, but those games have not been competitive. Michigan were to push the envelope, it would be against Penn State or Ohio State or getting into the college football playoffs. Going to get into that. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys, especially the Michigan fans. This is going to be a little bit of a from a Michigan fan's perspective, but all y'all supporting the boys, it really does mean a lot, especially the Michigan fans. We did a Michigan State game preview. So much support from y'all. You guys know I love talking Michigan football, so appreciate you guys rocking with it. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into a couple talking points I want to get into. One, the NCAA's infatuation with Michigan. And when you win like Michigan, when you're as dominant as Michigan looks, I guess it turns some heads. And people are going to take a closer look into what Michigan is doing in terms of off the field recruiting, how they're getting ready for games. And that's kind of what you're seeing. Now, the one opponent that I kind of think was probably bringing this to attention is Rutgers. Greg Schiano at halftime. If Michigan fans remember, you watched the halftime interview. Greg Schiano said there are some things going on in this game that are not okay, and kind of was not very clear about what he was alluding to. But now this might make sense that he was alluding to Michigan knowing what their plays were. Rutgers runs the ball 65% of the time, so it doesn't take a genius to know that they were going to run the football a lot. Greg Schiano is not exactly running the most creative offense up in Piscataway. So, I'm not really sure how much merit it is. Getting to the next point, how long does this take and what is the impact on this Michigan program? Again, the NCAA, with how they go about their business, it takes them a long time to do anything. And so this is an investigation that has just started. As a Michigan fan, it's hard to see anything getting done in the next 6 months during this calendar year of the football season. There's been rumors swirling that Jim might not even be back next year. I wouldn't be surprised if this takes over a year in terms of this investigation. If anything does come out of it, it's not really going to be a problem for Michigan for probably the next 12 months, if it's a problem at all. And then thirdly, I should say, like, what does that look like? So Michigan, what's not illegal, and this was from reading the reports, and I'm no expert on the NCAA rules, but I did read the report, and I kind of dug into the actual allegations of this Michigan program, is that it's not illegal to steal signs, right? If you pick up on signs on the opposing field and you kind of know what's happening during the game, that's okay. What's not okay, and what the NCAA is targeting Michigan for, is illegally in-person scouting, where you're sending guys to an opponent's game and looking at what their signs are and then looking at what the team does on the field. That's what's illegal. And how does that look? That could look so many different ways. It could be Michigan paying a graduate assistant during the bye week to go on the road and watch Ohio State play and say, hey, what are their signs? And then what are they calling on the football field? To me, and there's no actual clear, like, what is the punishment for this in the NCAA rulebook either. So we don't even know if this gets confirmed. Like, what does the punishment look like? Is it recruiting? Do they take away scholarships? Do they take away fun? I don't know what it's going to look like. There's a lot of, and this goes to the problem with the NCAA in general. And you guys know I'm not the biggest fan of the NCAA here. Is what is it going to look like in terms of the punishment if this turns out to have any sort of merit, which I really, as of right now, am struggling to see. because we don't really know what it's going to look like. And so we don't know if Jim's going to still be there at the time this punishment is doled out. We don't really know what the punishment is going to look like. At the end of the day, to me, and again, maybe some maize and blue tinted glasses here, it just seems like when you're at the top of the sport, like Michigan is, you're going to get a lot more attention. You already know the NCAA does not like Jim Harbaugh, and it does seem a little bit like they're singling this Michigan program out. When's the last time you've seen two like kind of bombshell investigation reports at the same program within a couple months span? I mean, Georgia's been dominant. I'm not saying Georgia's cheating, but Georgia's been dominating the sport for a couple years. There's been no massive investigations into the Georgia Bulldogs. It does seem like the NCAA singling out Michigan. And again, when you're at the top of the sport, like that stuff is going to happen. It happened with the New England Patriots when they were dominating in the NFL. Michigan right now is an absolute wagon. I think the NCAA doesn't love Jim Harbaugh, and we'll see what comes out of this report. Wanted to hop on this really. I'm not going to try to stand up here and like predict what's going to happen or say Michigan's guilty or not. All I'm saying is when I'm looking at this, even if I kind of remove my maize and blue colored glasses or tinted glasses to this, it comes down to this. It's two opponents this year that Michigan knew their signs from. I'm looking at it like if Michigan were to push the envelope and maybe potentially illegally scout an opponent, to me, it wouldn't be Rutgers. It wouldn't be Minnesota. It wouldn't be Nebraska. It'd be Ohio State. It'd be Penn State, or it'd be in the college football playoffs. Because those are really the only teams that I think have a really fighting chance to beat this Michigan team. I think we'll see what happens. But when I'm looking at this, it kind of does look like some garbage to me. We'll see what comes out of it. Wanted to hop on, talk a little bit about it. Again, appreciate the Michigan fans rocking with the boys. Go check out the game preview if you guys have not. We'll be back recapping that Michigan game after Saturday night. So appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.